So had a really nice start to the week today. A lot of these coronavirus stocks are still in play, and I was seeing some very interesting strength rotations in this market where we will have some leading small cap virus stocks such as SPEX, INO leading the strength. And then all of a sudden they'll die down and all the volume and momentum will go into another stock such as AIM. So it's very interesting to see where all the money flow is going to. And that also just tells us that you cannot outstay whether you are shorting or longing. That just means that there's money to be made both long and short. It's just about picking the right stocks to long and the right one to short and seeing the shift in momentum. So anyways, a couple of stocks I traded today, AIM, SPEX, and also INO. And all of these stocks I traded today were from my daily trading plan, which I spend about an hour to 2 hours each morning preparing for the trading plan. And when the market opens, I'm just executing. So there's a link to sign up for my daily trading plan if you're interested. There's also a free version for the free weekend watch list as well. So both of these free and premium options are available to you if you're interested. There's a link in the description below. So anyways, let's look at SPEX first. So this one went above and beyond than what I was expecting. I didn't anticipate this kind of squeeze all the way to $5. And of course, I didn't want to chase because that's not, there's a lot of chat rooms in this one from the volume squeeze from 350s to 550. I don't want to be on the same side as the chat room pumps because it's a low float. When they dump, this is where you get this kind of action from $5 all the way down to, 350. Nasty dump right here. For me, I was loaning the dips. I actually missed the first pullback right at the open. You can see this tiny wick here down to 390s and it just whipsawed back up to 550s. So I didn't get in that one because I feel like, that's not enough of a pullback for me to be interested in. But I was in this one where the stock pulled back to 350s. I was looking to add a little bit more around this 330s, 310s area, but we never went down there. So I got in long in the dip and was selling into the rips. With this kind of low float momentum trade, I don't want to outstay my welcome. And that's why I was pretty quick to sell, even if that just means I only had the starter size. And I was not involved in any of this afterwards. The other stock that I also did pretty well on was AIM. So this one, I was actually more short biased because we kept on rejecting pre-market highs around $4. But, in hindsight, of course, I should have flipped long after we started to reclaim this VWAP. But at the time, the strength to me was to the downside because a lot of other stocks such as INO and SPEX, they were failing. So that's why I shorted the bounce up here after this VWAP retest. I shorted around 370s and was covering into the dips around 350s and then later on all out around 330s. When I was covering this, I was thinking, okay, now that I'm all out, it's probably gonna go down all the way to $3 and 270s. And looking back right now, of course, I'm so glad I covered according to my plan. This is the kind of market that, it's okay to hold for an all-day fader, but you want to have hard stops. And this is exactly the kind of stock and the kind of rip that can break your account if you're shorting for us tomorrow. Oh, the other one is INO. So this one I actually, messed up on later on. I made money along here on the dips on the long side, and this is where I messed up. This is where I definitely recognize that I overtraded on this one because I think this is like the 5th trade on the same stock, also on the long side. So this is where I went back with smaller size, but I still got stuck on this dump here. So, I definitely recognize that, and this was my last trade on the day after this mistake. So I made money on the dips around here, and then I gave back some of that profit on this last trade on INO. The last trade on the day was SPCE. This one I was actually, I'm happy about my profit, but I was hoping for a lot more. So after the entire market was halted for 15 minutes, I actually loaned the on-hold SPCE because it was bouncing with SPY. So I loaned here around 1780s and then added to full size around $18. So I had a very nice average after this ad. And then I was selling into the pushes and was holding a quarter size. And the plan was to add onto the dips if we start holding to potentially retest $21, $21.60s. So definitely gave back some of the original profits from the first trade. But that's okay. I was sticking to my plan, and you don't want to hold too long and fight the trend in a market like this. So today is definitely a day where I put on my short hat and was shorting a lot of these coronavirus stocks because the momentum seems to be dying down. We're not seeing strength staying in for as long as they did last week. So that's where I want to come in and take advantage of the short opportunity. So NVAX, they had some, another pump PR pre-market saying that they were, they had some test kit or some, update, it's already on the backside of the trade. They're still trying very hard to prop it up. So I'm just taking advantage of this pre-market push, scaling in shorts, but leaving a lot of room to add if it spikes at the market open. And we never got an opening push. So it kind of just dumped and added back to full size after the pre-market, scaling out a little bit, added back to full size, covering, and then, added even bigger on this VWAP retest, and then just covering into the flush here. And again, taking advantage of the bounce moves and then shorting into it. Because at that time, a lot of stocks that was in the sector was holding out to the downside. So that means the overall strength of the sector is pretty weak, right? So I'm just taking advantage and shorting it down. The other one that I traded and went back a couple of times is CODX. So if you remember, this was the one that kind of screwed me over on this day right here when I was shorting around $20 or something, and I lost a lot of money on. One time on that day, I was down 5 figs. And then, but it's later on where I made back some smaller wins to control it down to, 4 figs. So thank God for that. But today, I was just doing the same thing, the same thesis as I did on NVAX. Shorting into the push towards VWAP. I missed this opening sell-off here. I wish I got in, but I didn't want to chase, and this was the ideal entry for me. And I was covering into the wash. So from I started scaling around 680s and then 720s and then covering into the push. And I tried some re-add. And when it started to reclaim this important level here, that's where I cut it. But after seeing this wick and how fast it got rejected is why I scaled in again short and then covering into the wash here. And then I kind of came back near the end of the day to scale some smaller size and then quickly covered. I didn't want to, outstay my welcome. So the third short on the day is INO. This one that, at the end of the day, I wish I went back into short, but I was really happy with the, it's the exact same setup as NVAX and CODX, basically. But, I just kind of wish I went back and scaled in again around 850s or even $8 after this VWAP rejected, and look at how much downside it ended up fading. So this one, yeah, it's a win, but, I was pretty quick to get stopped out. In fact, I should have re-entered up here and up here, but, hindsight is 2020. I can only do better next time. So all the usual sector stocks are back with a vengeance, and it's been good. It's been good. Lots of ranges for both the long and short. And luckily, when I was wrong early and I was wrong small, and that allowed me to come back with a clearer picture and not getting too stubborn and with too much size at once. And you can see I was caught on the CODX hold on the way down, but I've learned from my lessons from my huge loss. So this time I was wrong small, and I was able to come back with both a long and short after a clear direction as well. I think the stock opened and we were halted for about 15 minutes. The entire market was halted, and that gave me a really clear direction afterwards, after the hold, and I was able to short the bounce afterwards. So CODX was a nice play on this one. So the other sector stock I played was INO. So INO, I was actually long early on. Out of all the virus stocks, this was the one that I liked long the most. First of all, it's easy to borrow, and second of all, they released a new PR saying that they had more funding from the Melinda Gates Foundation to put towards developing the vaccine and potential cure for the virus. I'm not saying that's gonna be an investment long term, but that just gave me more confidence to long this one. And of course, the regret was not selling into the push towards $12. I was thinking we can get even more of a push towards 12, 13, but the top was around 1190s in the morning spike, and then I got stopped out of the rest of the long here, and I went in for a little bit more long later on, and they actually released earnings after hours, and I was shorting the earnings pop, and then it got stopped out on the rest. Again, very nice ranges on these stocks, both long and short. Doesn't matter whether you're long or short bias, there's opportunities to make money in almost all of these sector stocks. The other stocks I played were in the travel and cruise line. So this one I took a loss on Royal Caribbean Cruise. SPY was extremely choppy early on, and that's why I got chopped up. I got long thinking that we are gonna, once we reclaim this key $35 level, we have a lot of room to the upside to reclaim to all the way to 40s. So, but that's only, pending on whether SPY actually holds up. You can see I started in here and added in full size, and this is where I took the loss. So, I was wrong on this one, but I cut the loss according to my plan, so I didn't get dumped all the way down there. The other stock is also another cruise line stock, CCL. So this one was more bearish on this one than RCL because they had to hold business for, 3 months because of the, the severity of the disease. So, I was short biased, and of course, I wish I caught this, but I didn't catch that. So definitely a lot of opportunities and ranges. I didn't capture all of it. I missed this entire sell-off. Once the low of the day breaks, lots of room downside to $14. So I definitely missed that, but I caught the meat of the move of what I needed, and that's important. You don't want to get chopped up, and you don't want to outstay your welcome in this kind of market. So I made one trade yesterday on Wednesday, March 11th, but I forgot to record, and I only made one trade only on CODX because I had to take some family member to do a surgery midday. So I couldn't sit here all day to trade, but you can see I scalped some short and scalped some long, really small trades. I couldn't sit around to let it work out, and then so I got chopped up here on the short side thinking that it's gonna break down, but when it quickly held $11 level, that's why I cut it. And again, the stock just kind of squeezed from 11 all the way to 14, and this is why I went in for another long, and that's why I got chopped up. So definitely didn't do much yesterday, as you can see on this chart. Happy Friday the 13th. So today, I think I'm gonna be done early. I don't really like to outstay my welcome on Fridays. Usually, historically, those are my worst days. So today, I kind of just took the meat of the move, and I didn't catch everything, but also, controlled my downside. So let's talk about the bad first on the day, which was DOCU. So they had good earnings overnight, and the stock gapped up and to $81 pre-market and sold off after the open with the entire market. And after it reclaimed the 76 key level on the daily, that's why I went long. And the first long was good, and I, should have sold into 79.50s, but I was looking for a lot more to the 80s and $81 pre-market highs. This is why I scaled out some, and SPY looked like it was holding at the time, and that's why I added back in. And once I add back in, the SPY just pulls, and I got stopped out of my entire position here, so gave back everything on this trade. I don't think it was a bad trade. I think it was just like I shouldn't have added so aggressively when SPY hasn't confirmed to hold. And you can see, it's good that I respected my stop because we're just selling off back to $74 now. So that's the loser on the day. The other one that were a little bit better. So the other trade on the day, LJPC, this one is where I shorted. Never got a fill at 550s. They had some PR regarding the, just catching the virus sector bandwagon pre-market. And if you look at the daily chart, this is why I was leaning short, right? You can see we're downtrending since $9. So I was shorting here 510s. I was hoping to add if it pops back to 540s, 550s, but I didn't get that. Cover some partial and adding even bigger after we reject this 476 level, and then just covering into the dips. And didn't catch everything, but it was a nice trade and very simple too. The other one that's also a pretty good trade on the day is OPK. Same idea as LJPC, but I didn't catch as much as I did. You can see, I covered here, added after the 210s rejection, and once seller steps in around $2, I added even bigger and covering into the washes here. I didn't think we can get 170 this fast. I thought we were gonna chop around in the afternoon for a while, and that's why I didn't, let it work as long as I should have. But took the meat of the move, and I'm done on this trade. Last trade on the day is CODX. So it's another very simple trade. They had some PR pump pre-market again for like the 10th time, and every time it pumps, it doesn't really hold unless there's a lot of volume on that day. And that's why I scaled in short, covered some, and adding even bigger. I didn't want to chase the weakness. With these kind of low floats, you cannot chase weakness. You have to add on the pops back to resistance, and that's what I added and then covering to here. So it's a pretty simple and pretty straightforward Friday. Just cut my losers fast and trying to add bigger into my winners. And liquidity is drying now, and I don't like to outstay my welcome on Fridays, especially when volume's a lot lower. So I'm gonna sign out here for the week. Hope everyone had a good week, and we'll see what next week brings.